What is happening, everybody? So, in this video, I want to chat about a couple of questions that have come up rather frequently lately. And the first question is, now that the prices of Hellcats have started falling, would I consider trading my SRT 392 in on a Hellcat? The other question is, if I keep the SRT, am I going to put a supercharger on it? Well, to answer the first question, you know, I like the Hellcat a lot, but I don't like it enough to trade my SRT in on one. See, you got to remember that if I did trade my SRT in on one, I'd be looking at depreciation on my car plus the upcharge at getting into a Hellcat. I'm not really sure what that number would be, but it's a lot more money than the entertainment value I would get from that car. The second thing is, I ordered my SRT the exact way that I wanted it, and at the time that I ordered it, getting a Hellcat, yeah, it kind of was an option, but yeah, I really like driving that SRT, and God, I just kind of fell in love with it. So yeah, all things considered, yeah, I just don't see myself picking up a Hellcat. And I also, to get to the second question, am not planning on putting any forced induction or any nitrous on the SRT. Mainly because, look, the cost of the kits is, well, that's what's really putting me off. In looking at either the Magnuson or the ProCharger, you're looking at least $8,500 for the kit, tuning, and everything else that's going to have to come with it. And that's with me doing all the work myself. Yeah, I just don't see that happening. And the problem that I have with that also is, again, I just don't see the money that I would put into that kit and the time that I would put in to install it. Yeah, I just don't see the entertainment value coming back. Again, this car is not a daily driver. It's something that I enjoy driving, though, and it's something that I have a ton of fun with. And I just don't want to complicate things by putting a supercharger on it or nitrous or anything like that. I really like having a naturally aspirated car. And the way that the car sits, it embodies a lot of my favorite traits in cars that I've owned over the years. And, if it's a question of performance, look, let me just say this. I've owned cars that ran 9s, 10s, and 11s as far as some of the quicker vehicles that I've owned or built. And yeah, I've got to tell you, this car is more fun to own mainly because I don't have to worry about breaking it or blowing it up. It runs deep into the 11s in really good air, and I'm hoping to get it into the 11s in the absolute worst conditions possible. It's already clicked off a 12.0 in pretty lousy conditions the way that it sits now. So I know the car has it in it to do it. But that's the fun part of it. I can chase after a number as maybe mundane as it may be to get an 11-second time slip out of the car in crappy weather. Yeah, that might not sound exciting to some, but for me, I think it's pretty cool. And it does kind of, scratch that itch in terms of, yeah, it's plenty fast enough. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of the urge or the need to, have a 9 or a 10-second car. I've kind of purged that out of my system at this point. Yeah, I've lived with the headaches that come with that. So, yeah, I guess you could say I'm not going to say I outgrew it because you never really outgrow that. But the idea, I guess, is that I'm really satisfied with the car. And I want to keep being happy with the car. I don't want to start finding weak links in the drivetrain or the engine itself by throwing some type of power adder on it. So, those are my thoughts on, which direction I would go with the car or if I would get a Hellcat. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of it has to do a little bit with the money aspect. Look, you're looking at about the same money to go from an SRT to a Hellcat if you go with forced induction after the fact on the SRT. Now, in terms of recommendations, yeah, if I owned a car that cost significantly less, it might be worth it to me. But, I bought the SRT because I wanted every bell and whistle you could get. And yeah, this is one of the downsides to it. Spent a lot of money on it. Plus, there's other projects that I would rather put that money into. Me and the little lady are currently looking for a duster. And since we're looking for a duster, I would rather use whatever money I would put into, putting together either a supercharger setup for the car or, buying a Hellcat. I'd rather put together a really sweet duster. So if you know of one floating out there, it has to be console shift, obviously 340 car, you let me know. But aside from that, those are the plans. Those are my thoughts on which direction I would go. It's definitely it's not a knock on anybody looking to put a supercharger on their car. By all means, if you have the means, go for it. But for me, it's going to stay naturally aspirated. I'm going to get my 11-second time slip in the heat one way or another, and you bet I will be bragging about that as soon as I can. But until then, that's a wrap on this one. Hope y'all are having a great one. Post up your comments. Adios.